Ensure business continuity with cloud backups and mirroring. This webinar is brought to you by Graitec. My name is Missy Scott, and I am pleased to be your moderator today. As a reminder, you can find a schedule of upcoming events, webinars, and training on our calendar at asti.com/calendar. Before we dive in, we'd love to learn more about how we can best support you and your businesses. So if you could take a moment to answer the poll questions on the right side of your screen, it would help us learn how we could best serve you. We'd also like to invite you to take advantage of our free trial for File Sync, as well as check out our training and services. So you can scan the QR codes on the screen, but don't worry, I'm going to put them in the chat box, and then I will add them to the screen during the Q&A. So if you think of any questions during the presentation, you can throw those in the live chat, and we will get those answered at the end. And finally, pleased to introduce our expert today. Mark Petrucci is an implementation consultant in construction at Graitec with numerous certificates, patents, and the title of Autodesk Technical Collaborator of the Year. Mark brings deep expertise in BIM, Revit, and construction workflows to every conversation. Thank you so much for joining us today, Mark. And I'm going to turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Misty. And Misty, are you able to share my screen, or do I need to do that?
I'm adding you right now.
Okay.
All right. Right now we see the who below.
All right. Great. Oops. Wait a minute. I might be sharing the wrong screen here. So let's go ahead and stop this. And we'll try it one more time here. Window. Boom. And how's that? Are we good, Misty? You're on mute. Hey, Misty, are you there? All right, it says everyone can see and hear me, so we'll go ahead and we'll proceed on, everyone. All right, so today's title for our webinar is ensuring business continuity with cloud backups. And hold on one second while I restart my presentation because it is hanging up. So 1 second. Boom. All right, there we go. All right, so thanks for joining me. So we're going to go through, I'm going to have a brief slide deck, and then I'm going to show you a live demo of File Sync in action. And actually, let me make sure I can see you guys. 1 second. All right, great.
Hey, Mark.
Yes.
Can you share your screen? I'm so sorry about that. We had like a disconnect on the bridge.
All right, let's do that again. And share. All right.
All right, we're good.
All right, perfect. Okay, great. So before I open up the software, I'll do a brief presentation. But the whole reason for today is we're going to talk about business continuity and cloud backups as far as mirroring. So let's go ahead and hit continue here. And you guys have already met me. So here's the plan. Brief overview of File Sync, then I'll do a live demonstration, and then breaking news. Believe it or not, when I was preparing this morning for this presentation, just testing everything, making sure my computer is all set and File Sync is up and running, I did discover some new features that I contacted our dev team, and sure enough, some new features were released today. So I will show those features towards the end of this presentation. From there, then I will actually show you how to download the software and how to configure it and install it and configure it so that you can start using it. It's all laid out. We have a pretty good description on how to do it, but sometimes people might miss a step, so I at least want to go through that with you. So that being said, just a few slides here. We're going to talk about how, AEC teams, they have to move huge files, large number of files across multiple sites. And it's especially important because We may run into problems if there's any server outages, ransomware hits, maybe even lost laptop. Any of that could halt projects and cause problems. Well, File Sync removes that risk by continuously replicating every change to the cloud. So your team stays productive no matter what. And with File Sync, we keep project data protected and in sync for anyone that's either designing or fabricating or building. So whether you run in the Autodesk Construction Cloud or BIM 360 or Procore or Bluebeam, you can plug it in and you get always on backups and seamless collaboration. I've shown this slide in the past. I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I'm just going to let you know that there's a diverse range of software tools that are used in the industry. And, in reality, businesses are going to use a lot of different tools. But we'd like to be able to synchronize as many of those tools as we can. So today I will focus on the conversation using File Sync for the purpose of cloud backups and mirroring or syncing data between all of our different platforms. So now here's the why. Why File Sync? How is it related to business continuity by doing cloud backups and mirroring? Well, disconnected data is quietly eroding, believe it or not, project schedules and profits. 54% of construction jobs slip behind schedule because files sit in isolated silos, or worse yet, they're lost to unforeseen circumstances. And 52% of AEC pros say that the lack of real-time information or mirroring data across platforms is their single biggest roadblock. If you've ever done it where you've had a young intern and their job was to copy files from this platform to that platform, it is a tedious process. It is not fun, and it really doesn't need to happen because all of that could be automated. And then as far as inefficient data sharing, it drags productivity down by as much as 20%. So in short, every minute your files aren't mirrored or available in the cloud, you're risking delays, rework, and costly downtime. So that's exactly what File Sync was. Now, just a few slides talking about the big four data headaches. Migration. We can migrate project data between platforms in a single integrity-safe move. With collaboration, we can give every teammate instant access to one live cloud mirror file set. Now, that file set may be located on different platforms, but because of File Sync, we're able to keep everything in sync. As for backups, continuous replication shields you from hardware failures, ransomware, or accidental deletes. And finally, with compliance, version history and permission controls address audit and industry standard requirements. Now, if you can master these four pillars and your projects stay on schedule and on budget, you'll be fully protected. Real quick, the superpower, the main function of File Sync is it's really painless data migration or even data synchronization. Whether you're lifting terabytes off a local Windows server or shifting files between cloud platforms, File Sync moves everything in one sweep, and it preserves the folder structure and data integrity the whole way. Scattered drives and siloed apps breed version chaos. File Sync mirrors every drawing and document into a single live hub, or what appears to be a single live hub. So everyone taps to the same up-to-date files and collaboration can remain seamless. And data backups are crucial, but can be complicated, especially when managing diverse data sources. And manual process increase the risk of data loss. I said, the young intern that's manually copying data, that's a lot of stress. It's tedious. And when I was an IT manager at a design firm, backing up data was a constant worry for me. No matter how many times you back up the data, you're still worried that maybe there's a problem with the backup tapes. In this case, File Sync automates the backups and makes it easier to manage, and it reduces downtime and risk. And finally, I talked about compliance already. You know, it's vital with AEC projects, both for internal policies and external regulations. File Sync allows you to manage file access, ensure compliance with industry standards, and demonstrates adherence through reports and audits. Okay. So this slide just highlights the key benefits of using Graitec File Sync. We have connected systems, we have process automation, collaboration, and compliance. Now I'm going to skip over the next few slides. I don't need to talk about this because we'll get into a live demo here. But I do want to say, in short, File Sync does deliver full continuity, effortless migration, live cloud mirroring, as well as audit-ready compliance logs and rock-solid backups. And it does this across every major platform. So let's jump into File Sync, and I'll show you live how to access it, install it, and then how to use File Sync. All right, let's do this. First of all, there's you were provided a link up front to access File Sync. There's actually a few different ways you can access File Sync. You can simply Google Graitec File Sync, and it'll take you a number of places where you can download it. You can download it directly from our website. You'll see a download free trial button if you go directly to our website. If you subscribe to Graitec Advantage, our support service, when you log into Graitec Advantage and we come over to downloads, all products, you would scroll down here until you see Data Connect File Sync. This is it right here, Data Connect File Sync. And from here, you'll be able to download File Sync. And currently, I'm not logged in. And finally, the other place you can find it is on the Autodesk App Store. And from here, you can download the software. So there's 3 different places in which you can download and receive File Sync. Now, all three places you will download a trial version, and I'll show you a slide after our demo, the specific limitations to File Sync, but there's actually quite a bit that you can do with the trial version, at least in testing purposes. Now, the one thing that I do want to mention is, there will be a help file with File Sync, and it takes you through the process up on how to set up File Sync with ACC. And so I'm just going to briefly show you these steps, but it's outlined one by one. You can rewatch the video, you can read the help window, and you can learn how to get File Sync installed. But to show it to you live so you can see it, you do need to be an account administrator. So you would log into ACC. Account admins can go over to account admin, and I'm going to go to my Graitec project or Graitec account. And down here, you'd come over to apps. And again, everything I'm doing is outlined step by step in the previous help file I just showed you. When I select apps, I will scroll down and I will look for Graitec File Sync. And it's about halfway down on the page, which is right here. And you can see Graitec File Sync. You can see our other tool, the Graitec ERP Sync. But I'm going to select on Graitec File Sync. And when you select on it here, you'll see some screenshots of Graitec File Sync. And right up at the top, actually it's right at the bottom here. My bad, it's on a different page, which I'll show you. But what you'll end up doing is right over here, you'll see a button that says Install. Since I've already installed this, now it's giving me an option to either uninstall it or deactivate it. But you would go ahead and install it. And once you do that, it should show up here under My Apps. And here's my Graitec File Sync right here. And you need to make sure you do this step because downloading the program isn't enough. You basically have to install the connector or the app in the Construction Cloud that will allow File Sync to connect to your account. Okay. Now, once you download the software, install it like any other program and just let it go ahead and install, and then you can run it. And when you run File Sync, you will see this user interface. Now,
Hey, Mark, sorry to interrupt you. Can you reshare your screen? It just kind of popped down.
oh, thank you. Yep,
Mhm.
let's do this. And that's strange. I'm not seeing. You guys can still hear me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's strange. 1 second here. You know what? I have to, for some reason, it's not showing up here on my screen, but hold on 1 second. Let's do this. Oh, here we go. And share screen, window. Share.
We are back on track.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, let's bring up File Sync again. All right, so this is File Sync. Now, I already have my workspaces and some sync set up, but for you, when you first install it, you won't see anything for workspaces. When you come over to connections, this will be completely blank for you. So your first step is you want to create the connection. You want to tell File Sync what it's going to connect to. So it's pretty simple. You come over here to the right-hand side, you select Create Connection, and with this new version of File Sync, and again, this is something that I didn't realize until just today, but I can see that, you know, we've added a few other sources in here. We've added Bluebeam, so we can sync to Bluebeam sessions. If you've used File Sync in the past, you probably use the legacy connector for Autodesk Build and BIM 360. Those are still available. If you are using these, I would suggest that you replace them with the new version of the connectors. And so I will show you the Autodesk Construction Cloud connector in this example. But when I select on it, it will then take me to a website, and it wants me to allow authorization. So I will select allow. And we are looking, let's do this here. I shouldn't have to do this part, maybe because I've been plugging away at this all day. Let's try this one more time, guys, because I should not have to do that. 1 second here. Ah, it did. Okay, my bad. Let me do that one more time. All right, I'm going to select the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Now, when I did that, it actually, I'm going to hit allow, and behind the screen, yeah, I'm used to doing this on separate screens. It opened up this window here called Connection Details. So it knows that I want to connect to the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So it's just saying, okay, what do you want to connect to Autodesk Build? Well, I'll put in here that I'm going to connect to my account, which is my AETG account. And so I'll put in here Graitec AETG. This is a different account that I have. The company name, I put in here Graitec. And then as far as the hub, see right here, I'm going to connect to these different hubs. Now, I already have a connection to my CTG hub, but I'm going to connect to my AETG hub. So I will select this, and actually went ahead and it renamed it for me at the top, and I will now save it. And you'll notice right here, I now have a connection. So I actually have, this one is connecting to AETG. This is connecting to my CTG hub. This is where all my projects are. The AETG is projects that my other teams are hosting. But just letting you know, that's how I connect to an account or a hub. I hit the Create Connection button. I select what I want to link to. And then you'll see a window pop up here where you're going to fill in the blank on what you want to connect to. Okay. When I go to SharePoint, which I already have, it's connected to my SharePoint online. And you can see I just simply called it Mark's SharePoint and then my company name and so on. I could proceed down and I could add connections for all of these as long as I have a subscription to those services. If I don't have a subscription to Bluebeam, I won't be able to log into Bluebeam. But as long as you have a subscription to these, you're welcome to create these connections. So I've installed the software. I've now connected to these different platforms. Now we'll come down here to workspaces. First thing you want to do is you want to create a workspace, and then within each workspace you create your syncs. Now I created a workspace here called File Sync Webinar Example, but I'm going to come down here to this AMCM ball bearing factory project. So this is a workspace that I set up, and to do that you simply hit Create Workspace. You put in the name, a description, the company. If you want to make sure that you automatically synchronize everything in the workspace, you'll notice that you can do a schedule, either daily, weekly, custom. And you can pick the start time, and then you can also, the start date and start time. And if you want, you can also, on some tasks, if they run a very long time, you can have it stop after a certain amount of time. And then there is a email notification. I haven't shown you how to set that up, but I'll just let you know you can override the email notification. The system will send you an email if the synchronization was successful or if there were any problems. And by the way, if there are any problems, it will try again and again. And if it continues to fail for whatever reason, it'll notify you of any fails. Okay. But I did create one here called Acme or AMCM ball bearing. And now down here, I can decide on what do I want to sync. So let's say on this project that I'm using both SharePoint and I'm using ACC. All right. So I'll come over here and I'll hit Create Sync. I will name this and I'll say SharePoint to ACC. I will select my source, which is SharePoint. I'll come down here to SharePoint. And then my destination, I'll go ahead and I'll select my ACC Graitec CTG hub. Now it's just a matter of it's logging into my SharePoint, and now I will go to a specific project and gather information that I may want to copy over to ACC. And so I can scroll down here to grab any project that I might see in here, but I'll just grab one at the very top, and I'll just grab this one. Once I grab that SharePoint project, now it's going to show me.
I'm sorry, I feel like I'm the bearer of bad news. I think right now it's stuck on public token.
Okay. Thank you for mentioning.
Yep.
All right, let's take a look at that again here. And I'm going to turn off my video. We'll see if that includes anything.
And thank you guys for being so patient with us. Sometimes technology is like, not today.
Stop sharing. And let's try this again. Okay. Let's turn on my video. And let's try sharing one more time here. Windows. All right. How's that, Misty?
All right, I'm adding it. Let's take, yep, now we're back on track. I'll let you know if it does anything again. I'm sorry about that.
All right, no problem. I'm gonna take a step back here, and what I'm gonna do is instead of recreating that sync from scratch, I'm gonna show you an existing one. So I'm gonna go to my File Sync webinar examples. So I've already created a whole bunch, so I'll just kind of walk through and show you how I created them. So the first one I'll look at is this SharePoint to ACC. And if I come over here to the far right corner, you'll see I can hit the button, I can select the job, I can edit it. I'm going to select Edit. So in this case, I'm connecting to my SharePoint. I'm going to my SharePoint project, and then I'm finding a specific folder within my SharePoint project that I want to sync. Now in SharePoint, I have a folder called File Sync Dataset, and in that folder, I have a bunch of subfolders. So I'm going to sync everything in that folder. I'm going to include the subfolders. I have the option with including some metadata. Okay, depending on what I'm copying, sometimes this will work, sometimes there's no metadata to copy. But this is what I'm going to copy, and I'm going to place it in this project, my ACC project, and I'm going to place it in this folder. In addition, I can tell it to create create the source folder and the destination. So if there's any new folders on the source side, it'll recreate those folders in the destination. I will also do an incremental backup, which is highly recommended. There's no need to copy everything all the time. When you do an incremental backup, it'll copy whatever has changed. Well, if this is your first backup, it's going to copy everything. After that, it only needs to do incremental, which is advantageous because now it'll take less time to do your backups. You'll also notice a setting that says delete files and folders not found in the source. So if something was deleted on the source and it exists here in the destination, it will delete it from the destination. That will keep it truly in sync. So everything's going to match one for one between the source and the destination. And then the versioning side, this is an interesting feature. Typically, we leave this set to yes. When we copy files over into ACC, every time we copy the same file over, or it's an incremental backup of the same file, it'll create a version 1, a V2, V3, V4. If you don't want to use versioning, we can just always have it delete what's in the cloud and then recreate it. So it's always going to say V1. I don't recommend that, but a customer requested it, so we placed it in there. And then finally down here, again, I could schedule this, but I'm not going to bother to schedule it. I could save this or I could run it. Now, just to show you how this works before I talk about any of these other ones, I'm first going to come over to this activity log and clear this out. Okay, so I cleared out my log, my activity log. There is a log that gets created. I can't delete this. So this guy can go back in history, so I could always look at my past syncs. But what I want to do here is I want to show you what happens when I run this. So I'm going from SharePoint to ACC. Now, just to kind of reinforce that, and Misty, you tell me, do you see my SharePoint and my ACC on the screen?
I see workspaces. Did you hear me? I see workspaces, syncs.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to reshare it because I realized one of the things I did earlier was just the window. So I'm going to do screen number 3. Okay, share. There we go. Perfect. Okay. So on the left-hand side is my SharePoint. In my SharePoint, I have a folder called File Sync Dataset, and here are some subfolders. And in those subfolders are files. Over on the right-hand side is my ACC project. And I created a folder here called File Sync Webinar. And if you notice right down here, I've got one that says From to SharePoint. I'm going to click on that one. And actually, let's delete this one. So I have my project right here. My SharePoint project is going to copy these folders right here into this folder in ACC. And to do that, I'm simply going to kind of pull this down so you can see it live as it's happening. I'm going to hit the play button. And in a few seconds here, you'll start to see some folders appear. And what it's doing is it's now going into my SharePoint and it's grabbing the folder. Let me double click on that to open it. And it's starting to copy the folder and the files for me. Now I'm doing this manually, but it'd be more advantageous for me to schedule this. So I could schedule this to run daily at a certain time, maybe run every 15 minutes. But it's going through the process. Now while it's copying, and you can see it doing it here, in File Sync, if I go to my activity log, I can actually see it right here. It's going through my SharePoint and it's copying some files, PDF files, and it's actually taking them and putting them in ACC for me. And as I watch this, if I notice any problems, it'll highlight it in red. If you notice at the top, this green highlight, that lets you know that everything started successfully and it is now proceeding to work its way through my SharePoint folders and copy everything up to ACC. And so right here, it's told me it's copied 8 files. It looks like it's completed. And if I come back in here, you'll notice I can click in this folder and you can see some of the files that I copied up to the cloud, or I used File Sync to do that for me. Okay. Let me expand this again. This is my live activity log. I'm going to erase it. But look what happens when I come down here to logs. When I come down here, here is that sync I just did. And here is the actual log file right down here. So I can't delete this log. This log is permanent. But the previous one for my activity was there temporarily, so I could review it, while it's actually syncing files for me. Now, for the most part, when I come back here to Workspace, you'll notice that I can sync BIM 360 docs maybe to docs. I could sync from Windows to Procore. I could sync from Procore to ACC. Pretty much any of the connections you see here, you listed over here, I can create a synchronization between any of these products. Now, what I discovered today was right down here. It looks like we've added some syncs. I could actually sync build photos to maybe docs or Procore or my computer. And when I come in here and take a look at this, here's my source, here's my project, and notice now I can actually sync Autodesk Build sheet version sets, Autodesk Build photos, and Autodesk Build RFIs. These are brand new. I was not expecting those today. I'm so used to going to project files and picking items out of project files, but now I see I can grab all my build photos and I can push them over into maybe docs or push them to my hard drive. Now, I will push them into a folder called Build Photos to Docs. Okay, so I'll push them into that folder. And everything else is exactly the same. It's just what is your source, what is your destination, and you sync it up that way. And so if I come back over here and I go to Build Photos to Docs, here's my folder. There's no photos in here. But if I come over here to Build Photos, I've got all these photos that were taken during a construction phase. And I'd like to get these copied over this was originally designed to get these copied over into Procore, but I can push them over into Docs. I could push them over to my computer. But here are the photos. If I come back here to files, my webinar, and my photos, I will now run this BIM 360, build photos to docs folder, and I'll run it. And if I go to my activity log, I'll keep an eye on it. Looks like it's starting okay. It's now connecting. And sure enough, if you take a look over here on the right-hand side, I hit photo. There's photos right here. And here are some photos that are coming from build. They are now getting stored here within the doc section. And if I click on one of these, we can take a quick peek at it. And there's a door that was taken. Notice when I come back here and I look at my log, look at this. I've got one photo here that there was an error. And so there was a problem with this one photo. Now, some of the photos have 0 kilobytes in size, and so it has trouble copying those. So that may have been the error, but I can go back and I can look at that particular photo and see if it's still readable. I could rerun this sync if I need to. How about build RFIs? This is a biggie. Trying to get RFIs from build and move them over to another location. I can take the RFIs, and what this will do is this will generate a Excel or CSV file of all of my RFIs in build, and it'll create a CSV file in the docs folder. I do want to show you some options that are available here with RFIs. When I come in here, I could say all the RFIs in my project, or maybe I pick specific ones, like only the RFIs that are currently open, or maybe the ones that are answered and closed. But if I select all of these, let me just show you what happens. I'm going to hit save. And let me just show you the folder. Here's my folder that I'm going to use in this example. I'm calling it Build RFIs to Docs. And I will run this particular sync. So it looks like that's processing. Look at my activity log over here. And it looks like my build to RFIs has started just fine. And it looks like now it's exporting my RFIs. And sure enough, you can see right here, RFI folder. And it grouped the RFIs, grouped them by their status. Answered, closed, open, rejected, submitted, voided. And if I want to look at my answered RFIs, I click on it, and sure enough, here are my answered RFIs. Now, they're produced in a CSV format. If you want a PDF version, we'd have to go back into Build and export them from Build that way. We can do that with a report, and we can do a multi-page report to say, show me all my answered RFIs, and it'll do it in a PDF version. But in this case, it's going to produce an Excel export per RFI. With that said, guys, because that is so brand new, like I said, I just saw it today, we expect that we're going to have a webinar to showcase some of those new features that we've added, specifically around adding, connecting to sheets, photos, and RFIs on the build side, and being able to sync them across either to your computer, to Docs, or to Procore. All right, I am going to jump back into the presentation. So I mentioned that there are 3 places where you can download the trial version of Sync. I do want to point out what the limitations are. Trial users have 1 gigabyte data sync limit across all your projects. Okay, you should be able to determine, how well you like using File Sync. With 1 gigabyte of data, that's quite a bit. Okay. Project allocation, you're limited to 1 project during the trial. And the sync restrictions are you can use sync up to 3 times. So, select a good range of data that you want to synchronize. And each sync is limited to 25 files and a maximum of 500 gigabytes. Now, really, you should be able to do enough testing with the trial version. But I would suggest that, you reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to do a one-on-one demo with you guys and answer any questions around File Sync. But the trial version works exactly the same, except for these limitations, which is really just the amount of data that we allow you to try out. If you ever need any help around File Sync, okay, you could Google Graitec File Sync help, and when you select on it, it will take you to right here. So we have a special help section here for File Sync. We have a number of quick links over here to the left-hand side for you to find specific information. But they've done a really good job documenting, how File Sync works. And of course, we do have some YouTube videos online that are specific for File Sync. So you can always Google, and actually my link is, here we go. Actually, it looks like that link has been updated, so I'll have to get an updated link. Boom. Yeah, actually, no, there it is. It played. So yeah, if you Google just YouTube File Sync, you'll find some videos that we have for File Sync. All right. And that is it for File Sync, guys. That was a quick run through. Any questions?
All right. So we don't have any questions in the chat right now, but if you guys have any, go ahead and throw them in there. If you think of something after the webinar, I have put my email in there at webinars@graitec.com. So you can reach out to me and let me know what your question is. I'll get you connected with the right person with the right answers. And if there's any webinar topics that you really want to see, I would love to know those. You can send those to the same email as well. And on the screen here is a link to a free trial of File Sync. So you can click right there. And if you loved Mark like we do and you wanted to do some training with him, you can answer the poll question that says, are you interested in training and services? And we can reach out to you from there. Any final things you want to say, Mark, to wrap things up if we don't have any questions?
Yeah. First of all, with File Sync, the way we're set up at Graitec, we have a number of different studios. We have construction, we have design, we have fabrication, we have manufacturing. All of us know how to use File Sync. We all use it. So no matter who you are, we'll put you in touch with somebody who works specifically in your industry, and we can get you up to speed on File Sync. And really, it's just a matter of maybe an hour of sitting down and going through all the different options. But it's so easy to install. Some customers simply purchase it, install it, use the help, and they can figure it out. But we're always here to support.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We hope it was meaningful and impactful for you and your businesses. Sorry about a couple of the technical things, but we do hope to see you on some future webinars. And Mark, thank you so much for joining us as well.
Great. Thank you, everyone.